Kafka. Kafka. Is that your real name?
Yes. Why shouldn't it be?
The great Czech-Jewish writer Franz Kafka created a world that so vividly described the feelings of alienation, despair, and absurdity which characterize our modern lives that a new word was coined to describe them, Kafkaesque. But even Kafka couldn't imagine that nearly a century after his death, a Kafkaesque legal struggle would erupt here in Israel over part of his literary legacy. And the truth behind this story can be found here at the National Library of Israel in Jerusalem. Dr. Aviad Stolman, you're chief curator here at the National Library. How did some of Franz Kafka's papers end up here in Israel?
Well, some of them have been in the National Library for many years. Kafka was corresponding with Martin Buber, and since Martin Buber's personal archive has been here since 1965, we have that correspondence. We also have a Hebrew-German notebook that was written by Kafka in one of his attempts to study Hebrew. Kafka's Hebrew must have been very good. We know that because of the type of words that we see in that notebook, and that has been donated to the library about 20 years ago by somebody who wishes to stay anonymous.
Isn't it true that Kafka, toward the latter years of his life, even thought of making Aliyah to Israel?
Yes, I mean, this has been documented that he thought of making. Of course, he died very, very young and also sick, and so that wasn't a possibility. But and in addition, of course, when Max Brod left Prague, he took with him a suitcase which was full of papers from that belonged to Kafka. Some of them were given to him by Kafka during his lifetime, and some he actually took from his desk after Kafka died, and he brought them all to Tel Aviv.
When did the National Library first become aware that there were other papers of Kafka's here in Israel?
When Max Brod died, of course, the library was in touch with his secretary, Mrs. Hoffe, in order to receive the material. And that has been something that was not very successful. And during the early 70s and even in the 80s, there were ongoing discussions with Mrs. Hoffe and unsuccessfully bringing the documents to the library. Only when she died at the advanced age of 101, I believe that was in 2007 or 8, and her will was opened up and being authorized by the court. The National Library again approached the court.
The state of Israel sued the daughter of Eva Hoffe in order to recover the material left by Max Brod, including the Kafka papers. And after nearly a decade of litigation, Israel's Supreme Court ruled that the material must go to the National Library as they believe Max Brod had intended. Dr. Stolman, what other Kafka material is there in the Max Brod estate?
As far as we know, there are, I believe, 7 vaults in Israel and in Switzerland containing material from the Brod estate, and those vaults also contain some of Kafka's writing. In addition, there might be some papers in the possession of Hoffe's family, and there are also more material that has been sold during the years since Brod died, have been sold to other parties in Germany and other places around the world.
What is the financial value of some of these papers left by Franz Kafka?
I believe 1 or 2 years ago, I saw in a German auction house a letter written by Kafka to Brod that contained 2 sheets of paper, and they were sold for about 100,000 euros.
When will the public get the chance to see some of this Kafka material?
We will be receiving some of the material within 2 or 3 months. The material will be processed, digitized, cataloged, published, and part of the publication will also be actually having here an exhibit with Brod's material, with Kafka's material, available to the public.
Franz Kafka died at age 40 of tuberculosis, never fulfilling his dream of making Aliyah to the Jewish state. But at least part of his literary legacy will at last finally find a home here at the new National Library complex being built in Jerusalem opposite the Knesset. This is Calev Ben-David for IBA News.